So my point with human intelligence over AI is never that we shouldn't use the AI. You should use the AI. You should figure out how to use it effectively. It will change your life. Stop using it to outsource your critical thinking because that's making us dumber. You cannot outsource every decision to ChatGPT. You need to still use your brain. I would never advocate for that. But what I'm talking about all on stages all over the country this year is you still need to lean in. You can actually use your human intelligence, your ability to connect with other human beings to stand out in a sea of people who just surrendered to AI. It's so much easier now to differentiate if you hone your emotional intelligence skills. It was always a superpower, right? To be able to truly connect with people, to be able to see people, to be able to hold space for someone. That was always a superpower. It's going to stand out even more as AI becomes more and more prevalent.
Hey guys, Wally Olivieri. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. All right, 24/7 Mindset community. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited today because Shivani is, I feel like what I love for the 14 seconds that I met you in Vegas was you've got this edge to you and there's a sharpness. And I love that because you come across and you just demand respect from the first words that come out of your mouth. Has that always been you, or is that something that you've learned over the years?
I think so I'm the youngest of three, and no one's heard of my brothers, but growing up with them, they take up a lot of space. And so I basically just from a very young age started demanding attention.
Okay.
And now I still feel I'll get asked all the time, do you ever struggle with impostor syndrome? And I'm like, no, not really. And I had to do some introspection on that because I was like, why don't I?
Okay. What did you figure out once you realized that or introspect that?
So I really think that the reason I don't run into that is because I care the most. So, if I'm about to go live on the local news and talk about interest rates, I'm sure there's an economist out there who understands or could maybe crystal ball it better than I can. But I care the most about the person watching it, feeling like they understand how this actually impacts them, what they should do with the information. Or say I'm about to get on stage. One time I got to speak at the Forward event and people were like, dude, you're going on the same stage as Gary Vee. Is that a mind trip? And I was like, no, because I care more than Gary Vee about doing a good job. He's done this 115 times. This is my first time. I care a lot about doing a good job.
That's really, really great perspective. That's how'd you put on those lenses?
Well, so you probably care the most about everything you do too. Otherwise we wouldn't put in the effort to do it, right? You get to a certain point in life where the choices you're making have to be because you care about that stuff because you're being pulled in too many different directions. But at very much earlier points in life, you care because you're nervous. You care because you have a pit in your stomach. You care because you really want the thing. So instead of making it a negative, God, I'm so nervous, flip it. Just use a reframe. And it's I care the most.
Yeah. It's interesting. What I love about that, it's not gimmicky. You hear speakers all the time. Oh, visualize your audience naked or blur them out with your eyes or all this other tic-tacky tactics. And you actually went to the heart and soul of it.
Does any of that really work anyways though? Imagining you naked?
I've never, ever even tried it.
I think that would really mess with my head up there.
Oh,
There's a lot of people in the audience I don't want to see naked.
That's probably your first statement. So I remember one of the first stages I spoke on was like 2013. It was on Todd Duncan's Sales Mastery stage, and I was backstage beyond flipping nervous. And like Mike Ferry walks in, and he's like a cool cucumber, and all these different speakers walk in. Everybody's like just so like just chill about it. And I'm like sweating, absolutely. Like I had to take off my glasses because they were fogging out by just like so much like anxiety around it. And I remember Todd Duncan took me aside. He's like, what you've got to understand is you do this, what you're about to teach is what you do this day to day. And I think when you actually share a message that is truly what you are authentically about, hence the caring aspect of it, like none of it's baloney. I feel like if you're on stage and you're still nervous and you're not thinking about the audience, then you probably don't really know what you're trying to talk about.
The same applies to content, right? Like people are really nervous to hold out a phone and take a video and post it, or people, back in the day, people were nervous to use the camera and mortgage coach when they were sending out financing strategies. People are nervous to post a YouTube video, and I think it comes from caring more about yourself than the person watching the video. Once you flip that and you care more about the person receiving the message, it matters a lot less what you look like or what you sound like.
That is super simple, but incredibly brave.
Okay, I'll take it.
Good. Well, you can't give it back. It's yours. So, all right, talk to me. Let's first talk about like where I grew up with a single mom of three boys. I'm the middle child, kind of like Neil.
3 boys.
Yeah, three boys, middle child. And so, but I was the youngest for 8 years. So I'm like really screwed up in the head.
Yeah.
So I was the youngest for
First
8
order
years.
makes a big difference.
I was the baby. Then this silly younger brother comes along, and now I'm the middle child.
Oh,
But
I bet your middle child syndrome is like peak.
10 out of 10 all the time. I'm like 47 years old and I'm still holding a grudge about it. But talk to me a little bit about how are you successfully juggling being a mom of three and closing a monster amount of volume like you do?
I don't know if I'm successfully judging it. We'll find out when they're in therapy, when they grow up. But I'm trying really hard. I actually I had to do so for a couple years, I was like chasing down every female top producer in the country to get the answer of like, how do you balance this? Like, I'm hunting down Shayla and asking her to coffee and asking her to explain this to me. I'm talking to Denise. I'm trying to find Julie Johnson in Washington. I'm like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
And then finally I realized nobody did it and feels like they did it perfect. Nobody has like the magic answer I was looking for. Nobody had like the easy button for me, like the simple solution. Just hire a house manager, or just time block like this, or just do that. I mean, I got all kinds of different answers, from honesty about regret and choices they'd made, from saying I just didn't do it when my kids were that little. I waited. So it was kind of freeing, actually. I didn't get an answer that I wanted, but it kind of just gave me permission that I'm going to have to just make up my own rules and do it my own way. But I would never want anyone watching this to think that I have it figured out, or that I don't struggle with the guilt of working, or like the idea that if I stayed home, I would probably lose my mind. Yeah. The interesting thing is I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom before I had my first, because my mom worked a lot. She was, she's super ambitious. There was 3 of us at home too. And I remember, when I was in elementary school, she was changing careers from being a teacher to being a therapist. And so she'd pick me up from school, and then I'd go sit in the clinic from 3:30 to 9:30 where she was doing her licensing hours, and just do my homework in the waiting room and watch TV there. And I always thought, I want to be the mom who does pickup and has brownies waiting and can host the play dates and do all if I'm going to have kids, I want to be stay at home. But then I had really bad postpartum depression. And I was like, get me out of this house, as fast as possible. He just turned 11. And I was talking about how different my life would have been if that kid just, slept once in a while. He kept his eyes open one time. Do you have kids, Wally?
Yeah, I've got, now they're 20 and 18.
I don't understand. You look like you're 20.
Oh, thank you. But no, I'm 47.
Oh.
I'm going to have to take you around. That made me feel great. Thank you so much for saying that. I usually man, are you
got a glow to it. Most people with adult children don't have.
Yeah, so Braden was born when I was 26, and Alexander was born when I was 28.
Well done. You're on the other side.
I am, and I will be the first to tell you it is flipping awesome, and I have zero guilt. I put in my 20 years as a father. I put in, one of the silliest, coolest thing about empty nesters?
What?
They're both off to college. You can put something in the refrigerator, and you come back the next day, and it's still there.
I can't.
You can like clean up the couch pillows and make them all pretty, and come back the next day, and they're still clean, and they're like it's still organized. It is such a I've really missed like when you've got kids and they're all in your stuff all the time, like nothing's ever yours anymore. And it's
Yeah,
so
well,
great.
this conversation isn't very fun for me right now. I don't know if you were trying to become friends by the end of the show, but we're not going in the right direction.
Oh, really? Okay, all right. Let's regroup. Let's regroup. Back to you being an awesome mom and juggling that. Let's stick with that.
Oh, so this kid never slept, and so I was like, I gotta go back to work. And then I just went full speed. But my life could be so different if his brain wasn't like that.
Did you ever talk to when you were doing your research? You ever talk to Heather Bomar out of California, out of Oklahoma?
No, are you gonna tell me she has the answer that I want?
Oh, I would say, it was a very similar answer. And I really liked, so her and her husband, Brian Bomar, were great mentors of mine for the
Okay.
longest time. They were with me back in 2013 to like 2016 at Cornerstone. And what was great about that is they have 4 kids. He ran a branch that did 300 million. She was a producer back in 2013 in Oklahoma with an average loan amount of like 240,000. She was doing 65, 75. One year she got up to 100 million, and they had
Oh,
4
wow.
kids. And what was super cool, they adopted a 5th kid, which is like, wow, like good for you. Like it's awesome. I had my 2 boys and I was done. But it was super cool to see she structured her team in a way that she only came in the office from 9 a.m. to noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She stayed home Tuesday and Thursday, which I thought was brilliant. But when she built teammates, when she built different lanes of business, she structured teammates in a way that could delegate tasks to them, that they were handling 60, 70% of the loan from A to Z. But like the 20, 30, 40% that was left for her to do, that was like her niche, what she was really great at. She only did those tasks Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from like 9 a.m. to like noon.
That's amazing.
I thought it was super. I mean, I love Heather Bomar. I think she's like Wonder Woman when it comes to like juggling. Obviously, they had help at home, and when the husband's branch closes 300 million and she does 100 million herself, like it's really impressive. And they were doing these numbers in Oklahoma City with like average loan amount of 240. Like
Yeah,
that.
that's even more phenomenal.
Exactly. So if there's now you've got your life all together, but if you ever want to make that connection, let me know and I'll connect you to. I've not talked to her in a couple of years, but I'm sure that she's still doing the same.
Could we just pause now and could you connect us? Because I don't have my life figured out.
Okay. I'll after this call, I'll grab your cell and then I'll toss you on joint texting. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, I've learned so much from Heather and Brian Bomar, and they're absolutely brilliant. Brian's just absolutely brilliant, but Heather is just so such a calm level of peace to her when everything is chaotic around her, which I think
that's a superpower.
You took the words out of my mouth. That's literally a superpower.
I went to an energy healer one time a few years ago, and this is where I knew I had to start making major shifts. So I went to this energy healer, and she said that touching me was like sticking her finger in a light socket. And I was like, huh,
How'd you feel?
not exactly what I'm going for. But it's true because I was like buzzing all the time because I was doing everything all the time for everyone. And you get that feeling where you're driving around like this and like you don't realize that that feeling is transferring to everybody else.
Yeah.
And with what we help our clients do, like, with real estate, with mortgages, with money, we want to be a source of calm, not electricity.
It's interesting. I think it's, I don't think I learned this until like 2014 at Branch doing $100 million of production back then. And a processor took me across, sat me down, and her name is Rosa. And she said, I love your energy. And it's really great for business, but you're driving the rest of us crazy. And I was the one bouncing off the walls. We need to do this. We need this. This is 911. And I was just like all over the map. And she goes, the rest of us need calm so we can operate our best. You've got to take your chaos and keep it in your office. And as much as like, but you don't understand, like this is 911, like we've got to do this, and this is closing tomorrow, and all the drama llama of a loan officer last minute shuffling around. It was a great lesson to learn, because when you're a leader, just like you're a leader, like I and you can be as chaotic as we choose to be, but we can't be chaotic in the community of our employees and our teammates. If not, the whole team's a mess.
Yeah, you have to break the cycle.
Yeah. How have you successfully broken that cycle?
Well, so, we've learned all the things about like getting your wins in the morning and time blocking all day and being really intentional with your time. And so I leaned into that. I leaned in hard to like being very rigid and robotic. And that's how I did a lot of volume during the pandemic and those years that followed when interest rates were really low. I was able to close like insane numbers of loans every month. One, because, money was raining from the sky in terms of interest rates. But two, I was like this, like super disciplined. But then I had my third child and I was like, God, I don't want to run faster on the hamster wheel. Like I would really love to, my ultimate goal, I realized, was like, I just want to be where my feet are. Like, I just want to be present. And that's when the way I articulated that, because I speak so, sophisticated, is that I will know I've made it when I can go pee the second I have the urge to go pee.
Okay.
When I'm not holding it for 3 hours during Zoom meetings and then school pickup and then getting the kids into karate before I take a pee break once they're there, then I'll know that I've really made it in life.
Okay.
And I was like, this is pretty wild, right? Like it's a basic need.
Yeah. How's that?
So then I switched from time management to time mastery. So I go pee now. I actually schedule pee breaks. And like
if you
in
need
my
to go
calendar,
pee,
my last.
If you need to go pee during this at all, just break away and you can just go pee.
But it's live, Wally.
I'll crack jokes. Just take as much time as you want. But no,
speaking of being live, trying to go pee, you ever get your mic? They always mic you up before you speak, like so far in advance. And then I'm like, but what if I need to pee? Like,
it was a reverse mortgage conference that I went to. There was like 600 of us. This is back when I was at Fairway. This is like 2023. And it was like 600 of us in the audience. The speaker goes to the restroom, does not turn off the mic. He goes to the restroom, and all 6 of us are he's just peeing and having a conversation nonstop. And he comes back out and gets back on stage, and he's like, I am so sorry. And he was like apologizing profusely. And ever since then, I've always had like PTSD. Like, I've got to make sure, like, I've got to pee before I go on stage. And it's one of these crazy things.
Well, now, like, the AV team is usually so like advanced that they are the only ones hearing you, not the whole stage. So I'm always like, oh, whoops, I'm so sorry. Can you mute me right now?
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about time mastery. I thought that was brilliant what you said, from time blocking and time mastery. What does that transition kind of look like?
Well, I guess I could start with the goals, probably the easiest way to understand it. Okay. You're not trying to fit more into a day. You're not trying to like jam more productivity in there. What you're trying to do is structure your days so that you achieve the most clarity, so that like you're in your genius zone the most. You're able to do deep work. And then when you have that, like when it's like not organizing the calendar, organizing your brain so that you can have the room to be inspired, so that you can see like the forest from the trees on things that would actually move the needle in your business. Have you ever noticed, like, if we talk about this on a production level, when you've been too far in the weeds on a problem file and you just need somebody else to come in and they'll find the solution like within
minutes?
Yes. You got to get out of the weeds in life, right? So that you can, because you'll start being able to think quicker. You'll start being able to make better decisions. And then you start saving yourself even more time. So it's like a snowball effect where once you clean up your calendar, you clean up your brain space, you start making better decisions. You start making better decisions faster. And all of a sudden you're operating at a whole new level. So that's what I tried to design with my time mastery.
Was there a moment in time that you were like, I get it now? Was there a transition? Was it a quote, or was it a coaching session? Like what tricked it for you?
I was about to put on, I do these events in Reno, well, now all over the country, called The Future is Female. And it's a fundraising event. We educate women and on all concepts, financial literacy. It started as empowering women as real estate investors. Now we've branched out into wellness, confidence. It's just a whole movement. But naturally, as soon as I'm about to put on this event, a loan's going to blow up that morning or something's going to go wrong. So I was about to go on stage to start the event. And one of the loan officers who was on my team at the time told me that we'd funded a loan, but we hadn't released to record, and there's an issue. And we're not going to be able to release to record today.
Okay.
So I had to very quickly in my head, I ran through some things in my head, and then I got on stage and I was fine. And afterwards she asked me, she's like, how did you do that? Like nobody could even tell that you had just gotten really bad news for one of your top referral partners. And I was like, in my head, I thought to myself, is this a primary residence or an investment property? Is there a moving truck? Is anyone going to be homeless tonight? Nope.
Yeah.
We'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll get on stage. And so she was like, I don't understand how you could go through that so fast in seconds in your brain and then go. And I was like, I think it's because of the way I've treated my brain space for the last year. And that's where it clicked for me, that I was like, I'm operating at a different level than I used to. There's people in our industry who will tell you that you get to a level where you use the right scripts, you're never going to get rate shopped. You build the right team, you're never going to be stressed again. You learn how to do this way, you'll never make a mistake on a loan again, and you'll never have a last minute issue. You're definitely going to get better.
Yeah.
But the nature of this job is things are going to go wrong no matter how good you are, no matter how amazing your team is, no matter the best company that you're working at, things will go wrong in this business. What's your capacity to be able to deal with that without unraveling? I don't know if realtors and loan officers really think of themselves as crisis managers, but we are. 100%. We are crisis managers. Crisis managers, Navy SEALs, other people, they don't treat their brains like trash because they know it's one of their most valuable assets, even more valuable than time, is your brain space. And so that's what time mastery is about.
I love that. Absolutely love that. My mental transition was when a mentor of mine told me two things. One, he said, you're stepping over dollars, meaning working on the important things, to pick up pennies, working on the urgent things. And when he said that, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, crap, the dude's right. Like, here's a big project I need to focus on, and this is going to make me a big amount of money or a big amount of success, but I'm dealing with this small fire here that is like taking away so much time and energy from like the big thing. And when he said that you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, I'm like, okay, I got to stop that. And the second thing he said, you got to work smarter, not harder. And I said, dude, like, he caught me at a bad day. And I'm like, if I flipping knew how to work smarter, I'd work smarter. And he goes, the difference between working smarter and working harder is somebody that works harder does the best they can do. Someone that works smarter does it the best way it can be done. Does it the best way it can be done. So he taught me as a coach to focus on the lenses of efficiency. The more efficient I became, the more effective I became. The more efficient I became, the more profitable I became. More efficient I became, the more time off I had. The more efficient I became, the more residual income I got back from my mortgage business.
I like that. I could get on board with that.
You can? Good. It was an absolute mind shift for me. The other one, obviously, Dave Savage's, he turned me on this book called Scaling, and it's called The Rockefeller Pillars. And one thing I really loved about his two Rockefeller quotes. He said, he who works all day has no time to make money. He who works all day. If you're working your job all day, you can't make money. You're making an income. And the second thing he said, I'd rather earn 1% off 100 people's efforts versus 100% off my own efforts. And once I put those lenses on, like, I remember in 2013, I was doing 36 million, but like by 2015, just 2 years later, 100 million. Then it became 150 million in 2019. Then it became 200 million in 2000. I mean, we just did 200 million last year in a 6-7% rate market environment.
Yeah, in a tough environment.
And when you look at that, it's like, I maybe spend 5 hours a week on mortgage. Maybe. The team is built in a way, in a system in a way that I'm making a residual income. I'm making 1% off 100 people's efforts. instead of 100% off my own efforts. When you look at that, mortgage can easily be built in a residual income fashion, hence the book I wrote. How do you build a business that pays you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you only have to work in it 24 hours a week, 7 months a year? And these different lenses that your coach and my coaches have taught me over the years, we've chosen to implement, which have produced great results.
That's amazing. Like there's so many people listening, right, who think, God, that could never happen to me. But there's really no difference between you and them. It's just different choices, right?
Yeah, I mean, you talked earlier about how you're a great mother and when how like with work and postpartum and that. And I love you genuine. I love your genuineness, by the way. And I'll kind of share a little bit of a story. My aha that I needed to work smarter, not harder, came from it was 2013. I just come back from Sales Mastery, and it was over 2,000 people. Todd Duncan gave me the Lifetime Achievement Award, and he celebrated me in front of 2,000 people. Applause, blah blah blah. I was a mortgage celebrity in public, but I was a phony at home. And the reason I feel like I was a phony at home is I come back from Sales Mastery, and back then Alexander, my youngest, is only 5 years old, and he's standing by the front foyer. And I'm walking out, I got my suitcase in front of me, and my 5 year old, like this is jaw dropping. My 5 year old says, "Oh, Dad, you're coming with us?" Like, how pathetic was that? That a 5 year old noticed that the father he was surprised that the father was attending a family vacation. It's simple because I missed more dinners that I ever made. I missed more sporting activities that I ever made with the BS phoniness of I'm doing this for my family. I'm working late to support my family. And all I was ego addicted to money, ego addicted to fame, ego addicted to success, ego addicted to trophies. Like the list goes on and on and on. And I remember driving to the airport that day, I was super duper quiet for like 2 hours. And I just came back. I started reading a book a week, started hiring coaches, and I'm super blessed. I've got an amazing relationship with both my sons now, and I've successfully been married for 21 years. If you've been married a long time, you definitely understand like it's a lot of work, but it's 1,000% worth it. Right.
It's choosing every day, right?
Yeah. And I think people ask me all the time, like, how do you stay married so long? And I said, it's really simple. Marriage is not 50-50. It's 100-100. And you have to be fully committed to going that extra mile with your partner day in, day out, day in, day out. And as cliche as that may sound, once I put on those lenses, no matter if I didn't want to do something, if I didn't want to clean something, if I didn't want to go to this place for dinner, if I didn't want to do whatever in our marriage, I still did it because it was me going 100%.
I love that. Did you do it with a smile?
I'd probably say 60% of the time I did it with a smile, but then 40% of the time I pouted. Remember, I'm the messed up in the head middle child, youngest. Yeah, right. That pouty lip comes out, and it's just like poor pitiful me a little bit, which 40% of the time.
I love this stuff because I just graduated with my master's in marriage and family therapy. So the psychology stuff is like, I don't know, I could deep dive on it. I think birth order, like I've always been super interested in birth order. Then, just learning about EQ and different forms of intelligence, learning about the neuroplasticity of the brain and how it can be rewired, learning about couples therapy and why people are successful versus why some are not. It was really, really fascinating.
I bet that helped you a ton, not only in your personal marriage and personal relationship, but it helped you a ton because we're mortgage therapists anyway.
Oh, totally.
Like, how many times have we been on the phone with a client and you hear the husband arguing with the wife and the wife, and like, then you're like trying to calm them down. And yeah, how's that like transition to your mortgage business?
Well, initially I did it just that. I was like, oh, I'll rebrand as the mortgage therapist and I'll help people heal their relationship with money while they're buying a house. And it wasn't just partner dynamics. I'd be doing therapy when there was women in here buying a house by themselves because they hadn't found a partner yet, right? And they were having really mixed feelings about it. Families, parents passing down wealth, multi-generational wealth requires a lot of therapy because people were like struggling. I don't want my kids to be entitled brats, but I don't want to make them wait till I die. I'd love to see my grandkids running around the yard. Like it's big stuff we help people with. And I think a lot of people don't realize they're in a relationship with money, and they are.
Let's pivot for a second. I'm curious about your advice here. So do your kids know how financially successful you are?
Yes.
And or okay, so do mine. I chose to educate my two boys about our family trust, our 9 apartment complexes, multiple businesses, blah blah blah. Because what I didn't want to do is wait till I die and then they're stuck with all this assets and they don't know what the heck to do with it. It all collapses. I think I've talked to many parents like, no, they don't know how much money we have, or no, they don't know this, or no, they don't know that. I'm like, how the heck do you expect them to like operate and maneuver whenever you die if you don't educate them as they grow older?
I don't know that that's the reason I keep them in the loop,
Yeah,
because I wouldn't trust an 11-year-old anyways,
yeah, that's fair.
because they're at a different age, right? But I want them to just know that the reason they see me working so hard isn't only to work for someone else, isn't only to pay a mortgage, it's to build something to pass down, right? It's for the future generations, for their kids too.
Yeah,
I want them to know that it's like it's a family effort. We're a team and everyone is doing their part. And their part is to be kids and to have fun and to learn and to grow. And part of my role as their mom is to make sure they have everything they need and then some.
yeah. It's funny. I'll be curious to see how your 11-year-old evolves as they get older. I had a massive amount of control with my two sons until they're probably like 12, 13, 14. And somehow I just became stupider and they just became so much smarter. And it's starting to come back on the other side of things. Like they're kind of starting to understand like dad maybe wasn't as stupid as we thought he was. And yeah, it would be curious because I think when they were like 13, 14, 15, they kept on going around, oh, we're rich, we're rich. I'm like, no, 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 no. The family trust is rich. Mom and dad have nothing. You have nothing. The family trust is rich and you need to get a job. So we're super passionate about both of them working at an early age.
I remember I got my first job at 14
Yeah.
and my dad was like, "Why are you doing this? You're going to have to work every day for the rest of your life. Like, why do you want to start working now?" And I look back on that and I'm like, well, I'm sure there was pros and cons,
Yeah.
but it's an amazing feeling as a kid to have that kind of like power of having your own money.
100%. Yeah. Were you financially responsible with it? Because my kids buy the stupidest things with their own money.
You know, something that was true then and is true now, and it probably points back to what you said about if you're working all day, you can't make money. If you're working all the time, you don't have time to spend the money. So like I was working all the time, right? And then I was also really involved in school and on dance team and doing all these things. And I realized like I had all this money in savings only because I never had time to go to the mall and spend it. And then the same thing happens now. You get so busy that I'm like, man, I really want to buy myself this thing. And I'm like, but I don't have any time to look at the options.
You'll find time, I promise you.
Even
Quick
the
question.
properties we buy, I don't go look at them. I run the math on them and my husband sees them.
Okay. That's great teamwork. That's awesome that you guys do that. How long have you been doing that?
We started, the goal is to buy one property a year starting in 2020.
Okay.
We skipped 1 year because we built an addition onto our house.
Okay.
I was like, maybe that still counts, right? It's still investing in real estate.
If
And
you
then
want it to count, it can count.
I want to redo my master bath this year. And like, it's very over the top, the plans. And I'm like, does that count? And my husband's like, no, it doesn't count. We still have to buy something this year. Tone down your budget.
I'm with your husband on that because I mean the amount of tax advantages. So I bought my first single family March of 2013. And by the end of 2013, I'd purchased 9 single family. I'm kind of an addict once I figure out like a roadmap. 2014, another 11 single family. I got up to about 65 single family by 2017 and I realized I was doing it all wrong. And I was buying great property here, great property here, great property there, but they're so spread out through the state of Texas, like management was like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And in 2018, 2019, 2020, rates production started to rise and I just didn't have time to manage it. It was super cool. A 1031 exchange all of them into I started buying apartment complexes. Now I own 11 apartment complexes all throughout Texas. But what I teach my boys I sit down, I show them the tax returns, I show them the tax advantages, I show them the tax strategists, I show them the cost segregation is in the segmentation of it is simply because the property spit off as all the write-offs needed to where my mortgage income, I don't pay taxes on it. And that's
Which is
happened
the real American dream, actually.
with that started happening in 2019. And to the point where like right now I've got a $5.3 million credit with the IRS that for the next $5.3 million I make in mortgage, I don't pay taxes on it simply because of the cost segregation, depreciation, and the capital expenditures I've done on these apartment complexes. And you realize really quickly, you can invest so much faster. You can grow your wealth so much faster when you don't have to pay taxes legally. But a lot of that, I learned that from those two Rockefeller quotes, which was, he who works all day does not have enough time to make money. And you'd rather make 1% off 100 people's efforts versus 100% off your own efforts. It's just residuals is the way to go to build wealth. Most people just don't have the education or choose not to have the education to bring that to life.
Well, the tax code is complicated, but it's a contract that every American signs with the government, but very few actually understand. And it's written so much in the advantage and favor of real estate investors and entrepreneurs. And it took me a lot of research and time to figure this out, right? Because I was just counting on my CPA to direct me.
Yeah.
But every year they're telling me, oh, well, you still have to pay all this money. I'm like, but what about these losses on my Schedule E? And they're like, ooh, those are passive. You can't take those against your active income. And I was like, I'm telling my clients to invest in real estate, but they're not getting to realize any of these tax benefits till they retire in a lesser tax bracket. Like, newsflash, I'm not trying to retire poor. Like, I'm hoping I won't be in a lesser tax bracket then. So I spent a year going on a deep dive talking to CPAs all over the country who understood the real estate stuff, because so many of them would mansplain me and tell me I was wrong and I couldn't do this and that. And I was like, no, actually, you just don't know your job. So I'm going to keep checking until I find somebody who gets this. Then there's the CPAs, there's a lot of famous ones, the financial influencers, and some of what they're saying is actually misleading and not true. And I'm not trying to do anything illegal, right? I'm just trying to use the tax code the way it was designed to be used, like you said, legally. Yeah. And so some of these CPA firms are like, oh, we'll put you on a $24,000 retainer every year, and then we'll give you advice and we'll do this. And I was like, maybe the value's there, but I'm still going to keep digging. And through one of the female investors who speaks to my panel, she's like, she owns tons of properties, tons of different investments. She's really diversified. She connected me with her CPA and it was a deal break. I mean, it was life-changing, life-changing, because now I understand how this all works. And I was talking to Sharon. He was the former CEO of Real. Was he the CEO? President? I don't know. President. Backstage. And I was like, yeah, my husband was like mind blown when we did the cost segregation study in that first year that we did, instead of bending over for the IRS and paying on top of the estimated payments we've already paid, that we got a refund. And my husband's eyes were like, dude, I thought you were talking. Yeah. I thought you were talking about nonsense. I go, but he's worried about the depreciation recapture. And Sharon's like, no, because by the time that you would sell that property, you would reinvest it, 1031 exchange it into a new one. You would roll all that money over. Good luck to the IRS figuring out what the depreciation recapture would even be by the time you've exchanged it 15 properties forward. And I'm looking at Sharon and I'm like, dang. And he's like, see, this is a fun game. I was like, it sure is.
Well, it's funny. So I've got 4 apartment complexes on the market right now for sale, and we got 2 offers so far. And once they get sold, I'm not going to walk away with the cash. It's going to be the next 1031 exchange. It's going to go from a B unit apartment complex to an A unit complex, and it's this adult monopoly, and you get paid so well to offset your mortgage W-2 income with all these massive write-offs if you just understand the game. And I remember the first time I hired a tax strategist, it was like $1,000 a month. So it's a $12,000 a year retainer. And I was flipping out. I'm like, this is way too much. How am I going to be able to but that dude has saved me multiple millions in taxes. He's paid for himself 100x ROI, but you've got to want to learn it. Where I think so many human beings, especially mortgage, well, this is the way it's supposed to be, or some will even say, hey, it's a it's an honor to pay taxes. I'm like, how is it an honor to pay taxes? Like, I don't get that.
No,
And
I really want to help my community. I
yeah,
want to pay for infrastructure. I want to improve things. I want to have more authority over how that money's spent.
you got it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So I want to make sure we get to something you said before we got on. Human intelligence over artificial intelligence. Elaborate on your feelings there.
I'm not anti-AI. I love AI. I use it all the time. It's another thing that's been life-changing for me. But I get so exhausted by encountering AI from other people. And like, we all know somebody, right? Who every single email now is complete AI. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen to LinkedIn if it'll remain relevant, because all it is AI slop there now. Every
Well,
company's hiring like AI bots to do the engagement. You get so like even captions and scripts on short form content. You just know when it's AI, and it's exhausting. So my point with human intelligence over AI is never that we shouldn't use the AI. You should use the AI. You should figure out how to use it effectively. It will change your life. Stop using it to outsource your critical thinking, because that's making us dumber. You cannot like outsource every decision to Chat GPT. You need to still use your brain. I would never advocate for that. But what I'm talking about all on stages all over the country this year is you still need to lean in. You can actually use your human intelligence, your ability to connect with other human beings, to stand out in a sea of people who just surrendered to AI. Like, it's so much easier now to differentiate if you hone your emotional intelligence skills. It was always a superpower, right? To be able to truly connect with people, to be able to see people, to be able to hold space for someone. That was always a superpower. It's going to stand out even more as AI becomes more and more prevalent.
it's funny. I don't know if this is a good strategy. You agree with it. You probably disagree with it, but I can't spell cat. Like, I'm ADHD, I'm dyslexic, I have dysgraphia, and I'm the worst vocabulary in history. Like, your 11-year-old probably has a better vocabulary than I have. And I misspell stuff all the time, especially on posts. Like, I'll make a post, my wife will text me, "Hey, you misspelled A, B, and C." I'm like, crap, I got to go back and change it. But I love misspelling stuff on my social media posts or anything, because it's clear it's not AI. And I feel it's like, I knew you're gonna laugh, but it's one of these things that I don't know if that's a good strategy or not, but it's kind of fun.
And I think people want to see authenticity, right? Like, my version of that is I'll show up and say things aren't going well, or I will show up without makeup, or I will show up in a messy house. God, the trolls on Instagram hate my house. It drives them
Oh,
insane. From the paint to the decor to the kids stuff in the back, I couldn't care less.
yeah,
That's not the message that I focused on. But I see your point. Like, I think it shows authenticity
yeah.
for there to be a typo.
It's interesting because I am 100% focused on being authentically me, and I was really against AI for a very long time. Not necessarily because, like, I thought it was bad, but it was more along the lines of, I love my imagination. Like, I am unmedicated ADHD, and I love my imagination. And I love when I bring it to life and I create and writing the book and the courses and the academy and such from there. But then you look at, like, copycats that use AI, and they're receiving the accolades and credit. One thing I just realized though the other day was, it's probably, unfortunately, it's only 2 months ago, that AI is really great for a good middle ground of giving you framework of what you want to frame in a book, in an article, in a post, whatever. But I still make sure that I share my imagination with the remaining 90% after I've gotten the framework.
The AI strategists, I was just at a conference, they were talking about the 80-10-10. So
Okay.
they're saying you do that 10% up front, the foundation, let the AI do the 80%, you come in and do the 10% to put it all together and wrap it up. They're saying that's the most magic way to use it. I'm nowhere near using it at 80%. I'm probably still doing like, it's probably like I'm doing 50% up front. I'm letting AI do a little bit and then I'm coming in at the end. But I understand the logic there, that if you spend the time training the AI, and it's the same thing, to speak to the point I wanted to say, there's two skills that anyone watching this could use to sharpen their human intelligence, to sharpen their emotional IQ. And that's metacognition, which you can also use with AI, and radical presence. So if you want to get really good at your human skills, at your ability to connect with people, which, by the way, is the fastest way to unlock trust with a referral partner, with a client, with a date, is you hold space for someone. Everybody is so busy constantly thinking about what they're going to say next that they're very rarely listening to what the person sitting across from them is actually saying. When you actually hold space for someone, when you are so present for them that you can see the way their shoulders are sitting, the expression behind their eyes, it's wild. It'll blow your mind what you learn about someone that is beyond anything they're saying. And so if you can sharpen your ability to do this, which, by the way, it's hard, especially for those of us with attention deficit disorder, because we have already figured out what you're going to say, 30 seconds into your thing. And we're now just like, our insides are clenching because we want to finish your sentence for you and help you spit it out faster.
You can't, though.
No, you let someone speak.
You rob them of self-discovery, and you rob them of buy-in if they don't self-discover throughout the conversation. But can I give you a confession real quick?
Sure.
So I don't know, you said a word earlier, metacognition. What does that mean?
Metacognition. So metacognition is noticing the way you think. So it's the highest form of intelligence. Most people will experience a thought and believe that thought to be fact. Most people will have a negative feeling, and then they, it's been studied. If you don't attach meaning to a negative feeling, it will pass in 90 seconds. But most of us immediately start attaching definition to it. We start attaching meaning to it. We start making it defining of us, like if you farted in a yoga class, if you just let the embarrassment pass, it will only last 90 seconds. But most of us wouldn't be able to do that, right? We would attach meaning to, oh my God, everybody knows that was me. Oh my God, I shouldn't eat Indian food before yoga. I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have even come here. I should have stayed at work and just gotten an extra hour of work done. Like, we spiral and just don't let the feeling pass. If you've honed your metacognition skills, which is really, I think, a lifelong journey, but the most intelligent people do this. They see a thought and they think, why did I think that? Why did that pop into my head right now? What has happened so far today that would make me think like that? What are the alternatives to that? What are different reactions I could be having in my body to that thought? That's metacognition. You can do that with the AI. You should be telling the AI when you correct it, I corrected you because I see it like this, and you made these mistakes, and I was able to deductively reason that this way.
So you're explaining to the AI the why your responses are X, why you're correcting them, why you're guiding them.
And even why you tweaked something. I chose to use this word instead of that word because it would have this impact, or because it holds the meaning of my intention better.
That's brilliant. Where are you seeing loan officers succeed using AI?
Guidelines. Like, I think that we hang our hats on that. Okay, well, maybe the AI will do the W-2 employee, but you'll always need me for the really complicated one. Will I, though? Because I think if I load all the non-QM guides in there, it's more likely that the AI will not miss this loophole that's going to be a problem, or will seek out this exception that could make this whole deal work. Because you're a human, you only have so much capacity. Think about like going to a doctor, right? You tell them all your symptoms, it's very likely they will forget a possible diagnosis because there's millions of diagnoses out there. The AI won't. You plug in your blood work, you tell it your symptoms, it will check every possible existing diagnosis out there and run them past you. You take that back to a doctor, and now you're in an even better spot. You combine it, right? Combine the powers. We should do that too. And we should not think that those complicated loans are going to save us. I think the AI will be actually better at those complicated loans than us. We'll be better with the first-time home buyer who really wants guidance.
It's funny. My team is really bought into AI, and they uploaded my book, my workbook, my courses, my curriculum to AI. They called it a Wally bot. And they said, okay, we're going to ask it a question. We're going to ask you the same question, Wally. And it was comical. The AI responded in a better tone, voice, articulation, and more detail than I responded as a human. It doesn't forget anything. And it remembers stuff that I've already forgotten about that I might have shared in a podcast 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's wild. I did the same thing. I put all my framework and my modules of my program, everything in there. And I was like, okay, so now I want to tailor it for this keynote, or now I want to do it for this presentation or this coaching call. It's wild. It's like, here's this current event. What does my framework say should be the response?
Yeah. Have you used it? This might be an interesting question. Have you used it all for personal? Like, hey, my kid did A, B, and C. What should I do? Or my husband and I are arguing about X. What should I do? I've not used that.
I used it the other day. So my middle child, you can probably relate to this. He's a fibber. He likes to fib all the time. He's 8, and he makes shit up that doesn't. There's no point in making this up, but he makes it up. And it's gotten to the point where now we don't believe much of what he says, even though it's all been harmless, because he fibs. Well, he told a fib at school. And so I put into the AI, I said, think like a parenting expert who specializes in middle child syndrome. Here's the scenario. What are possible approaches to handling this? And before you answer it, what other information do you need about my son?
Okay.
It was wild. It gave me such great advice.
And it worked?
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress. This was only he's not cured.
It's a journey. It's a journey. But so talk to me a little bit about woman empowerment. I love hearing that. Like, what's been your journey with that? Where'd you start? Where are you kind of now? Where are you going with this?
So, over the years, I've converted a lot of people to be feminists, mainly because they just didn't understand what it was. But I started this movement, The Future is Female. But no, it couldn't have been 2020. It was probably, what year did the pandemic start to wrap up? Were we allowed in public, but with masks? 2020?
Late 21, I'd say, realistically.
So I wanted to do these events, right? But I couldn't get anyone in public. Like, I couldn't gather everyone in one place. So I started doing them online because I was seeing all these headlines about women leaving the workforce in the pandemic because they were the ones who kind of bore the brunt of childcare, even elder care. Like, if a lot of it fell on women. And I read that it was going to take us decades to make up the progress we lost towards gender equality in the workforce. Okay. But then I was like, I don't even want to make that up. Like, who said that women want to be climbing the corporate ladder? Who said we want to shatter a glass ceiling? Like, that kind of sounds like it would hurt.
Okay.
And then you and I know from all the clients that we've given financial colonoscopies to that the ones who are the most financially secure are the ones who have multiple streams of income, right? Their financial house is sitting on multiple pillars. So I started this movement about empowering women as real estate investors. It just spiraled into a whole lot of other things. And to circle back to what I was saying about converting women as feminists or men, in therapy, we take a systemic approach. And I learned about this in psychology. We don't believe that anyone is suffering alone. We don't believe that anyone is a product only of themselves. We all operate as a part of a greater system, and it's all interchangeable and it all affects each other in both directions. There's dynamics at play. Well, if you consider a systemic approach to society, when women do better, their children do better. When women do better, their partners do better. When women do better, the entire family benefits, the neighborhood benefits, the community benefits. So there really shouldn't be anyone who's not on board with feminism, because wanting women to do better is not an us versus them thing. Wanting women to do better is wanting entire communities to improve. It's wanting the system to be better. So are you a feminist, Wally? Did I sell you?
Did you sell me? Oh, let me get back to you on that. What do you say to people that like, why can't we just be equal? And I mean, my response to that is like,
feminism is equality. There's a difference between feminism and misandry. Feminism is not saying women are better than men.
Yeah.
Misandry is saying women are better than men. I'm not on that. I'm not a misandrist. I'm a feminist.
Yeah. You and I are 1000% on the same page that a man is not better than a woman is not better than a man. I think we all have the same ability in life, but yes and no. I mean, I think I can argue back on myself. Like, a father might have more of a higher trajectory of income potential than in society, but I'm a huge fan of watching men or women succeed. It's just, there's so many women that I've seen succeed that I've looked up to, the Denises, the Shaylas, the Heather Bomars, that I've learned a massive amount from. It doesn't matter what someone's gender is.
I agree. And I think it shouldn't be an us versus them conversation ever. Like I said, we're all operating in a system that can improve from both of our contributions.
Have you ever read the book Miracle Morning?
No, I've just heard everyone talk about it a ton.
It's a great book. The author's name is Hal Elrod. Been a great friend, a great mentor. He's actually a past client also. And he taught me once. He goes,
That's pretty cool.
you can learn just as much from a janitor as you can from a CEO. It depends on how much you care to actually be curious. And
Totally.
and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, dude, you can learn so much from a female or a male or a child or an adult or a grandfather or a grandchild. It's just, we put these labels. Oh, we look at people and be like, oh yeah, they don't know X, or they've got this wrong with them. It's like, you can learn so much from everyone.
Yeah, you can use radical presence. You can hold space for people. You can meet them where they're at. And if you're genuinely curious, I mean, there's so much to learn.
Yeah. I think curiosity has been a huge blessing of not only gaining knowledge, but then a huge blessing, candidly, of keeping my ego in check the best I can, simply because when I stay in curiosity, I haven't formed an opinion. When I formed an opinion, I think I'm right. And I've just learned the best relationships I've had with guys or girls or whoever has always been that I've stayed in curiosity and I've not formed an opinion of who I think they are or what I think the situation is.
I agree.
Yeah. Something that's been rattling around in my brain. You said your mom was also a therapist. Did she get was it the same child or family psychology also, or was it a different portion of the field?
No, she did marriage and family therapy too.
Okay. I
she
figured
actually went on to practice it.
Really?
Yeah, she was a licensed therapist. She runs a behavioral health agency. She provides like very vital services in our community. I don't know that I'll ever get licensed. I still want to operate in this space.
Okay. Well, tell me, where do you want to see your mortgage business go to?
So I just accepted a position last October with our company. I'm the chief performance officer. So I'm getting to coach our loan officers all over the country on time mastery, on work-life balance, on building wealth, on finding mental clarity, on their emotional intelligence. It's huge because I get to take what I've learned about therapy and have a trauma-informed approach to helping loan officers, because I think our job is traumatic.
I bet we'd all agree. That is super cool. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I love it. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
I saw Wendy Rhodes on the show Billions, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I also want to do it not just for the perspective of keeping people sharp to make the company the most money. I want to do it from the perspective of avoiding burnout or helping people find their purpose or their place or their confidence. And so far, it's been really cool.
That's super cool. That's how, and is that, you plan on taking that out across the mortgage industry? Or do you just want to keep it at all Western?
I don't know. I've never done this before. They took a leap of faith. It's really never been done before in the industry. They took a leap of faith on me and gave me a chance to do it. We'll see where it goes and how impactful it could be. It's an experiment right now.
I'm sure you'll do great. I think it's you're definitely a top producer. And when you add the psychology aspect of it, understanding how human beings operate and how to get the best out of humans, you'll be able to guide them and lead them to wherever you want them to go professionally.
What I really want to do is guide them to where they want to go. I want to help them figure out what it is they want to do. That was like one of the first things I learned in my therapy program. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm never going to be a therapist. We're not allowed to tell people what to do. That's doing the work for them. We have to help them find clarity on what it is they want. And I was like, oh, God, I can't. I don't have the patience. I'll shake them and be like, stop doing that. Don't you see?
Have you learned the art yet of answering every question with another question?
How's that working for you?
Yeah, exactly.
How has that been playing out?
You're like scripts of a therapist, like you just go line them up.
It's funny because therapists kind of poo-poo on coaches, right? And then coaches kind of poo-poo on therapists. And then here I am trying to be a hybrid of both.
I can't wait to learn more and see more on your journey. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So we've got 1 minute left. I want to give you the closing thoughts, the closing words. There's a lot of loan officers and people in general that you've inspired from this. Like, what do you want to leave them with?
I think what you had said earlier, where you were talking about all these things you've accomplished, all this wealth you've built, the team you've built, the branch you've built, the production you've done, you listed out some really impressive numbers. Anyone watching this, I want to say what I said then, which was there's really no difference between you and every person you hear on a podcast or watch on a stage or encounter. You can do the same things if that is in fact what you want to do. You've got to do the introspection to figure out what it is you want. And then you'll start making the different decisions, and you'll actually start executing on the things you learned at the last real estate conference or read in the last book. Once you pause and take that moment, maybe you just offer yourself radical presence today to do a little bit of introspection. You put your phone away, give yourself 20 minutes and think about what it is you really want, what you heard said today in this episode, that you felt something, you felt an instinctual reaction to, and take it apart. See where it leads you.
That's absolutely awesome. My favorite part was all when you were like surprised I've got a 20 and 18-year-old. So I'm gonna leave that out there. I can't wait to tell my wife. Like, that's all I'm thinking. Like, I can't wait to tell Nikki.
I want to see her.
She's absolutely gorgeous.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, it's super cool when you marry your best friend. And I've got 10 more seconds. I'll tell you a quick story. What's awesome about our marriage is we knew from day one that, like, our first date, we wanted to get married. It was the whole love at first sight. But our story was we met in December. We were pregnant by January. I proposed in February. We're married in May. Our 20-year-old Braden, he was born in September. So in 10 months of, hey, Wally, nice to meet you on a blind date, 10 months, we're in a one-bedroom apartment, broke as hell, 26 years old. And we're like, what's your last name again? Like, and you're getting to know the other person.
Very non-traditional.
Super. Yeah. We've had an awesome 20 years, and we just, whatever God throws at us, we just take it the best of it and do the best we can do with it.
It seems like you've done really well with it.
It's been fun. All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our time together. And if someone wants to get a hold of you, wants to be part of your world, what do you want to leave them with? How can they contact you?
Oh yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's probably the place I show up the most. It's @ShivPeter.
@ShivPeter. Okay, awesome. Sean, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.